Drifting among the stars, Lieutenant Mara Kestrel's world had narrowed to a mere 3 meters of metal and plexiglass. The cramped cargo bay of the Icarus's Dawn, her last refuge, echoed with the low hum of failing systems. Through the reinforced viewport, stars arced silent and cold, unblinking witnesses to her plight. Every pulse of her suit's life support gauge felt like a countdown: 12% oxygen, 11%, 10%. She drifted at the center of the bay, tether lines adrift and useless. Her black and silver EVA suit illuminated by a single red LED on her wrist console. Its glow cast long, angular shadows across her visor. The emergency beacon on her chest bounced a staccato signal into the void. One blink, pause. One blink, pause. Each cycle carried her coordinates traced only by hope. Mara had never believed in miracles. She believed in training, hours spent mastering microthrusters and salvage procedures, in the precision of welds and the logic of circuit boards. Yet here she was, adrift between life and the void, replaying the last 10 minutes of the salvage mission over and over. They'd slipped through the nebula's iridescent clouds with practiced ease. The derelict freighter Nomad's wreck had been dead for decades, its crew lost to some unknown calamity. Satellites had picked up ghost readings, an overcharged power core, electromagnetic flares that defied explanation. Corporate samplers paid handsomely for whatever tech they could recover. The job was simple: enter, extract, exit. But as Kestrel's shuttle pod, nicknamed the Sea Swan, docked with the wreck's shattered maintenance hatch, a tremor rippled through the hull. She'd flinched, right hand tightening on her hull breach scanner. The lights dimmed. The wreck shuddered like a wounded animal, and for a heartbeat, all power died. Then an ear-splitting resonance tore through the silence. A violet flash that arced across the corridor, burning through consoles and setting off cascading fusillades of sparks. Her helmet's comm crackled, static over static, then went silent. As the pod was rocked off its moorings, the last thing she saw before tumbling into darkness was an unseen energy discharge racing toward the Icarus's Dawn, tearing through plating and shattering its nose. Now the ship itself was a shattered carcass split into 3 jagged sections. The forward hull yawned open to space, the midsection floated free like a broken backbone, and the engine platform drifted away, boosters cold. Atmosphere hissed from every breach, and the once vibrant corridors lay choked with debris and silence. Mara exhaled slowly, each breath rattling her lungs. She had only her training and stubborn will to guide her through what came next. First, check the suit. She tapped at her wrist console. Oxygen reserves, temperature regulation, communications link to the Icarus's Dawn. All flickered red. No uplink, no secondary channels. Second, activate the beacon's extended range pulse. She reached for the panel on her chest, pried it open, and inserted the spare power cell she'd stowed after drills. The beacon's blink rate doubled in defiance, but she knew it wouldn't last. Third, stay calm. Her heart hammered against her ribs like a tribal drum. She closed her eyes and envisioned New Athens sunrises over the city's glass spires, her brother Jace's easy grin as they raced hoverbikes down Aurelia Boulevard. In training, they taught her to use personal anchors, images of home to steady the mind. The memory warmed her like a faint ember against the void's chill. Opening her eyes, she plotted her course. The cargo bay was intact, offering room to maneuver, but beyond its bulkhead doors lay darkness, and who knew what wounds. With practiced motions, she activated her thrusters, tasting the suit's last fuel to glide toward the main access hatch. Panels of conduit and piping floated in drift, ribbons of insulation curling like spectral banners. She paused at the hatch. On the other side, the corridor sloped into blackness, grill lights shattered or burnt out. A faint hiss marked the Perimeter seals failure. If she could reach the auxiliary control node 2 compartments ahead, she might reboot the cargo bay's internal comm relay, enough to ping any passing traffic for help. Arm extended. She inserted the multi-tool into the console. Sparks flared as circuits sparked to life. Data scrolled past her HUD, and she manipulated power reroutes with deft motions. One misstep could fry the bus and trap her here forever. Sweat pooled. Behind her neck, almost, she whispered. A dull thunk reverberated through the hull. The ship trembled. Mara's breath hitched. Was it another aftershock from the wreck's collapse, or did something else drift close in the dark? She tightened her grip on the multi-tool, ready for whatever came next. Then the console blinked. Green. Power surged, and the corridor lights flickered on, dim, orange against the metallic walls. But enough. Her comm icon glowed. Link established. Still no contact, but the network scanned outwards. She exhaled, shoulders relaxing for the first time since the blast. She took one tentative step forward, the suit's boots clicking against the ridged floor. Each step echoed, a solitary heartbeat. In the silence, beyond, the void awaited, and rescue if she could just hold on a little longer. 2 days before Lieutenant Kestrel's exile into the void, the bridge of the Icarus's dawn thrummed with controlled tension. Captain Elias Van stood at the panoramic viewport, arms folded, watching the swirling tendrils of the Auriga Nebula drift past, a kaleidoscope of electric blues and purples. The nebula's beauty was legendary, but its turbulent plasmas made it a perfect harbor for pirates and warlords. "Captain," Commander Ilara Chen said, her voice tight with concern. As she approached the tactical console, "Sensor sweeps keep picking up transient warp signatures inside that nebula. They vanish before we can lock on." She tapped a sequence on her holo display. Ghostly outlines of unregistered frigates blinked, then faded. Could be remnants of the civil factions. Elias's jaw clenched. News channels had been rife with stories of a splinter cell known as the Crimson Hand. Insurgent officers from the former United Earth Navy who'd taken up arms against the Federation after peace. Negotiations collapsed. These rogue fleets preyed on civilian convoys and salvage crews alike. "Maintain course," he ordered, voice calm but firm. "Our charter is salvage, not conflict." Engineering reports chimed in unison. The Nomad's wreck lay dead ahead, its ghost hull drifting like a broken leviathan. The corporate clients had promised a lucrative bonus for any pre-war era tech. "Proceed at caution rating Delta," Elias commanded, eyes still on the nebula's edge. "I want all shields at standby and the skimmers armed for non-lethal boarding." Below, decks. Tension coiled in every corridor. Crew quarters buzzed with whispered rumors. Chief Engineer Rafael Ortiz muttered about how command was endangering civilian lives for profit. Communications Officer Jade Liu confided that she'd sent encrypted pleas to the Federation's high command for escort vessels, but got only rote assurances. No warship would cross the interdict. On the bridge, Ilara seized Elias's sleeve. "Sir, we have an incoming transmission. Priority 1. It's high command." The captain's expression darkened as the holoprojector flickered to life, revealing Admiral Kern's stern visage. "Captain Van," the Admiral's voice boomed through the bridge speakers. "Orders stand. Proceed with salvage. Do not engage or deviate. We cannot afford to lose face with our corporate sponsors. Report success, and you'll be rewarded. Report failure, and your record will speak for you." The transmission cut. Silence fell heavy. Elias closed his eyes for a moment before reopening them to face his crew. "Set a tighter sensor bubble," he said quietly. "We'll board, grab what we can, and get out. Fast." Moments later, shuttles deployed toward the wreck's fractured hull. Mara Kestrel piloted the lead Sea Swan, excitement and dread tangled in her chest. She remembered the thrill of cutting through empty space, the cargo bay lights of the derelict glowing beneath her like ghostly lanterns. Then, without warning, the nebula's haze twisted. An unseen frigate decloaked barely a kilometre off the Dawn's port side, its black hull absorbing starlight. Plasma cannons charged in ominous purple arcs. Mara's console screamed red. Hostile signature detected. Weapon lock imminent. On the bridge, alarms blared. Elias barked orders that were too late. The frigate's first salvo struck the Dawn's flank, ripping through armor and shattering the communications array. The second salvo tore through the midsection, sending shockwaves that buckled the deck plates. "Bulkhead breach!" Ortiz shouted over the pandemonium. Ilara lunged for the manual override as the ship lurched violently. Crew members scrambled, injured Marines clinging to railings. Mara fought the violent jolt in her shuttle as if boxer's gloves had collided in the void. Her view screen filled with flames licking along the Dawn's hull. She keyed her comm. "Bridge, this is Kestrel. What the hell just happened?" Static was her only answer. A third salvo ignited the forward reactor. The bridge lights died. The command chair snapped from its mounts and flew across the deck. Captain Van, thrown from his feet, stared at the viewport as the frigate vanished. Back into the nebula's storms, an executioner unseen. In that moment, the Icarus's Dawn ceased to be a ship of hopeful salvagers. It became a massacre site, its crew scattered like cosmic ash. As the world around her erupted into chaos, Mara's shuttle pod ejected, casting her into the yawning gulf of space, alone, betrayed, and left to die. Mara drifted in the endless black, her world reduced to the narrow envelope of her suit. Every breath rattled like shrapnel in her lungs. The life support gauge read 9%, then 7%. She fought the rising tide of panic, willing her heartbeat to slow. Calm, she told herself. Think. She toggled her helmet HUD to scan for any blip on the sensors. Nothing but the faint residue of debris fields and the distant pulse of her emergency beacon. No freighters, no pirate runners, no rescue shuttles. The silence pressed in, a suffocating weight heavier than any vacuum. Minutes or hours slipped by. Mara rationed her oxygen, switching to reserve tanks. She ran through emergency protocols. On autopilot. Thermal regulation stable, power cell lifespan 30%, thruster fuel 15%. No communications uplink. The ship's relay had gone dark when the Icarus's Dawn shattered. She cycled through every comm frequency she knew, civilian, military, even pirate code chatter. Nothing. Despair crawled in her chest like a dark vine, choking her resolve. Images of home, her brother's grin, morning light over the city, flickered and dimmed. Then a crackle broke the void. Static at first, white noise dancing across her comm speaker. She hovered, breath catching, chest tight. The sound coalesced into a voice, distant and warped. Distress. Pod. Coordinates. Human warship. Her heart lurched. She keyed her mic frantically. "This is Lieutenant Mara Kestrel. Of the Icarus's Dawn. I read you. Please respond." Silence. Her HUD flickered as the garbled voice repeated once more. Weaker. Human warship. Then nothing. She cursed under her breath. Was it a phantom? A pirate trap? The oxygen gauge dipped to 5%. Mara's vision tunneled. Her knees buckled. She grabbed a tether line for balance, voice unsteady. "Hold on. Don't black out." Then a soft glow bloomed ahead. Faint at first, then flaming to life. A cool pale light that cut through the starfield like a blade. Sensors flared. Massive contact, 30 kilometers out, closing fast. She hardly dared believe it. A silhouette resolved through her helmet display. Sleek hull plating, angular lines echoing the old UEN dreadnoughts. Etched on its dorsal tower was the emblem of Earth's unified fleet. A phoenix rising through a ring of stars. She half fell, half drifted toward the tractor beam corridor as the invisible tether snared her pod. The gentle pull vibrated through her bones. guiding her toward an open hangar bay door on the warship's flank. Lieutenant Kestrel, a firm voice filled her suit, calm and authoritative. "This is Admiral Rayner of the UES Aegis. We've locked your beacon and are bringing you aboard." "Do you read me?" Her throat felt raw. She nodded, though he couldn't see it, and replied hoarsely, "Yes, thank you, A wave of relief crashed over her, so intense it blurred her vision. She let the tractor beam carry her away from the void's icy grasp. Behind her, the empty black and the wreckage of her ship receded into starlit insignificance as hope, at last, came roaring to life. The UES Aegis's hangar bay was vast, a cathedral of steel and humming energy. Mara Kestrel's pod drifted free as the tractor beam released her, and she tumbled onto a padded deck. Two medics in white and blue overalls rushed forward, supporting her under the arms. Warm lights washed over her visor, and for the first time in what felt like an eternity, she heard voices unmarred by static. "Lieutenant Kestrel, you're safe now." The deeper timbre came from Admiral Rayner himself. He stepped forward, his silver hair framing a face carved by decades of command. His eyes, though weary, shone with relief. "Welcome aboard the UES Aegis." They guided her to a nearby biobed. Sensors hummed as nanoprobes scanned the suit for damage and began stabilizing her vital signs. Mara's head swam. Every nerve ending felt alive, every breath a miracle. She closed her eyes, letting the gentle hum of the bay and the steady presence of the Admiral ground her. "Your beacon signal led us straight here," Rayner said. "We've been searching Sector 7G since your pod activated it. I'm sorry it took so long." Mara forced a nod. "Thank you, Admiral. I thought I was done for." He offered a small, understanding smile. "You did everything right. Your signal was the only thing keeping us on your trail. You'll be debriefed soon, but right now, get some rest." The medics guided her to the infirmary's recovery ward. She lay back against the soft cushions, helmet off at last, and let exhaustion claim her. Dreams of drifting in the void flickered across her mind, then faded beneath gentle white noise. Hours later, Mara awoke to a dim hollow projector painting the chamber in soft azure light. Rayner's voice echoed from a concealed speaker. "Lieutenant, if you're feeling up to it, please join me in the command tower. There's something you need to see." She dressed in borrowed fatigue greens and followed the winding corridors to the tower's observation deck. Before her, starfields stretched out, punctuated by the silhouettes of UEN cruisers, frigates, and transports arrayed in tight formation. Holographic banners projected the campaign emblem, a phoenix encircled. By 7 stars, Rayner joined her by the viewport. "Operation Phoenix Reborn," he explained, "is our effort to reunify human space. Since the Civil War fractured our fleets, countless ships and colonies have been cut off. We've begun opening humanitarian corridors, securing trade routes, and pressing the insurgents back to negotiation." Mara's eyes traced the assembly. "That's incredible." He nodded. "You're more than a survivor. You're a symbol. The signal you kept alive became a rallying cry. Hold on. Help is coming. That's exactly the message we need." A cheer rose through the comm channel, reports of a refugee convoy rescued in the Raudos sector. Rayner's fist clenched over his heart. "Every life we save strengthens the hope of peace." Mara's breath caught. She realized that being left to die had forged her into something larger than herself. She straightened, resolve blooming anew. "What's next?" The Admiral placed a hand on her shoulder. "We keep roaring through the silence. Together." Outside, the Aegis's engine banks ignited in a cascade of pale blue light, and the fleet surged forward, a thunderous promise echoing across the void.